Good morning, MACPA. I see our participant count jumping up rapidly. So I want to welcome you all to our April Town Hall. Really glad to have you here to be on the other side of April 15th. Although I know seems like tax season is just a full year thing these days. But grateful to have you joining us today. I'll go ahead and share our Conferences.io QR code. You'll also find it in the chat, I believe, because I just saw that little chat number come up from my colleague Dee. Also, if you scroll below where you are watching this on our website, you should see a link there. You can go to macpa.cnf.io. We're having a little technical difficulties with Conferences.io this morning, so we're going to do old school. We pivot. Technology is fantastic, and sometimes it doesn't work. And so you find new ways. So if you won't mind the behind the scenes look at some of this, how I'll switch tabs here, but sharing some good news. Love to start our time and all of our meetings at MACPA with sharing good news. Sometimes it's harder to find than others, but we find it really important to start our day with a positive mindset. It's someone's birthday. Happy birthday. Uh, we're glad that you're spending your birthday with us, learning some CPE. That's great. A new day has begun. Sometimes that's all the good news you need to do. You woke up this morning. Um, Warmer weather, yes, I am super grateful for that. Although my allergies are the flip side of that. I don't know if you can hear that in me. Hopefully, I won't cough too much. But lots of sunshine, gardens growing, soccer practice, good team for tax season, sunny weather, house is under contract, retirement this year. Congratulations. Dad is recovering well from a stroke, could have been much worse. So, yes, finding those bright spots, those silver linings, knowing that our positive mindsets, even on hard days, really make a difference. And so I'll go to our next polls to see who we have. This is the behind the scenes look you'll see. So we want to see who we have on our town hall this morning, where they work. Well, I'll let the numbers populate a little bit first. Again, I'll call out our retirees that continue to stay engaged, stay learning. I love that. We love your wisdom and continued engagement in our profession. We need you. We appreciate you. We have about, gosh, a quarter of folks on from private companies. So our CFO controllers and the like. Public accounting firms a little lower. Maybe some people took some vacation this week, which was well deserved. Public companies, 6%, government, 15%. We know that you are going through a lot as well. I did want to mention we do have a new resource page for our those affected by what's happening federally and what's trickling down to the state level as well. Career resources if you found yourself as part of some of those reduction in workforce and things like that. So check that out. Both government contractors, we know this is really affecting a lot of people. So we do have those resources for you. I'll continue to the next one, which is your position or level on in work. We'll see this move maybe a little bit, but maybe you've already, there it is. We continue to have a pretty high level engaged group, which is fantastic. And I would say I would love that lower level person to start getting engaged more. So I'm going to ask you, our retirees, our C-suite, our senior management manager, to make sure that you're bringing along your colleagues, your younger colleagues, so that we have a bench of leadership going forward in the profession. Really, really important. We're going to be actually piloting a new program for a new membership kind of onboarding to the profession program that I'm really excited about as well. So continue to encourage your younger colleagues to get involved. We need them. Challenges. There's certainly a lot going on, a lot of challenges. That economic uncertainty and volatility. that was one I had to update. I think we had it just as supply chain, or not supply chain, inflation issues, which certainly will continue, but that is a newer one that I added this time, and we can see how high it is, with that regulatory uncertainty and complexity jumping up as well. Cybersecurity, interesting that that's risen, always top of mind, of course, but that we see some of those talent ones dropping down is interesting. Maybe that points to some success we've had, or maybe it's just the other challenges are feeling a little bit heavier. Um, but that looks like we've landed at a good spot. As soon as I said it, it moved. I also see Gen AI and AI listed there as number 5. You're at the right town hall. We have our partners at TB Academy that are going to be talking on just a second. So look forward to learning from them as well. With that, I'm going to switch back to my slides, and I'm going to have to go through these quickly. And I want to thank CPA Charge. They're our sponsor for this town hall. They were unable to actually to be here to speak with you, but just thank them, and they wanted to congratulate you and happy end of tax season. So continue to engage with them, our sponsors, all of our partners in the profession, really helping to keep us aware of what's going on technology-wise, what's going on in the profession, and provide resources to you, our members. And now it's my turn to thank you all, our members, for this past legislative season. We're going to have a quick update on what's happening or what happened during Maryland's 90-day session that just ended a few weeks ago. First, want to thank our Legislative Executive Committee. This group met every Wednesday morning during session because there was a lot happening and a lot to talk about. Instrumental in guiding our approach and the things that we did. So that is chaired by Harold Moan of UHY, Karen Cirillo, who needs no introduction. Grateful for her just tremendous support and expertise. Grace Smith, Jeff Rosen, Avonette Blanding, Michael Harlow, Skip Volodko, and Alan DeLeon. Just so grateful for their continued support and leadership. And then because it was a very interesting and active session, we were in Annapolis testifying. So I want to give a special shout out to some of our members that came and testified alongside me. Saavedra Scott, MACPA Secretary Treasurer, Bo Fitzpatrick, MACPA board member, Jeff Wilson, and Jamie Thompson, along with our Legislative Executive Committee members that supported us in Annapolis this session. This was our legislative agenda going into session. This is what was shared with you all at CPA Day. I'm proud and very excited to announce that our mobility bill that was sponsored by Senator Ellis, the CPA, passed. And so that will be signed by the governor in the next few weeks. Really excited about that. That really protects mobility for CPAs as we're figuring out what that alternative pathways will look like. We'll have more information on that soon, but we do anticipate going back next session with our Board of Accountancy members who actually I was with yesterday, the Board of Accountancy meeting for that alternative pathway to licensure. That was our first step in that process. The second one is sometimes I worry you think that we might be crying wolf because it's a constant on our legislative agenda, but it was big this year. We knew it was coming. It came probably towards the last day that they could introduce a bill, and we did see that B2B services sales tax, and that was defeated. Taxes on CPA professional services. I'm going to bring up our legislative consultant, Nick Manis, is here with me. Nick is the managing partner of Manis Canning. Great partners with us, probably I want to say 30, but it's probably 40, maybe even more years that they've partnered with us in Annapolis. And I just have to read this first paragraph of his bio from the website because it makes me smile. Nick Manis, the son of Madison Canning co-founder, who beloved by MACPA team as well, George Manis, managing partner of the firm. He's presided over legislative and special event successes on behalf of clients such as the Motion Picture Association, the Baltimore Ravens, Pfizer, and the Maryland Association of CPAs. So I'm pretty excited that they mention us in that because I know he's got some pretty big name clients and that they recognize our partnership. So Nick, thank you for being here. Just some overall takeaways. I have some more details on the next slide, but this session, you've lived through many 90-day sessions in Maryland. What was your kind of big takeaway this session? What was different? What was the same?
Thanks, Rebecca. And first, let me again congratulate the CPA Association for the passage of the mobility bill. Not only did Senator Ellis sponsor it on the Senate side, but we had Chris Valderrama
Yes.
sponsor it on the House side. So it's always good when you introduce legislation, you try to pass it because I'd rather try to kill 3 bills than pass 1 bill. So congratulations on that, and looking forward to continuing to work on the mobility issue for CPAs. As far as the session, it was probably one of the most contentious sessions that I've been involved with down here for close to 35 years. It was dominated by the 3.6 billion deficit that we had, and the legislature addressed it by 2 million with fund transfer and cuts, and also, like you mentioned, raised 1.6 billion in taxes. The B2B first introduction, as you said, came in late. They had numerous taxes on services and other great ideas that they had. Because of the efforts of you and the association, we were able to defeat the B2B sales tax on services. However, what they did do was, and let me say, we were successful in defeating it, not this year, but for this session. And I'll explain that in a couple seconds. But they did pass other revenue measures, including they created new brackets for what they consider high income earners for filers from 500 to a million, and then from joint filers from 600 to 1.2, and then also for those that are over 1 million and joint filers over 1.2 million. They also increased the taxes that the locals, the piggyback tax by 1% or 0.1%. So that increased. The largest revenue generator was a 3% sales tax and on data and technology services. We are still unsure of what all that means. The comptroller will be working over the next few months to come out with advice and opinions on what that truly does mean. So that's like a wait and see, but they anticipate raising over 480 million with the quote unquote data tax. So we know what's not only happening in Maryland, but throughout the country and in Washington, D.C. Since our proximity to D.C. is very close, and we understand that there could be a special session depending on where the economy goes. So that's why I say that the sales tax on services is not over. They're going to, if they do come back, they're going to be looking for new revenue measures. Have no idea what that is. You'll be hearing a lot of rumors and innuendos over the next few months as this is what they're going to do, this is what they're not going to do, but we really have no idea at this time. And it was interesting that this was Moore's third year, or third year. So the honeymoon was a little over. You had legislative leadership in the House and Senate that didn't support all his legislative measures, did support his budget and amended it with various measures. So it's an interesting time where he was basically on a honeymoon for 2 years, and now that's changing. And of course, the closer we get to 2026, that's an election year, so that dictates a lot of the policies and issues that come before the session. So the good news is we had success in keeping sales tax on services on our industry and others off for this past session. But as I said, the year's not over and the fight's not over. So it will continue.
Absolutely. And I do want to let you know, I know that 3% on data and IT services members affects you all too, of course. And especially not just you and your business, but also as you advise clients. So we have been in communication already with the comptroller's office regarding just the implementation of this, which has an implementation date of July 1st. Which was when one of our major concerns about the B2B sales tax, but they are working on guidance. They're updating forms, instructions, all those necessary steps. But they anticipate to post content as it's ready to their landing page for the new tax law that they've created. But I'm going to just read this quote so that you can see what can you do. They said the most helpful thing that we can do as MACPA members is to forward questions and scenarios that CPAs and our businesses have about these law changes and how that might apply to clients, transactions, and the like. The community's assistance to identify areas of greatest uncertainty is helpful so that they can ensure that their guidance answers those questions. So we are in contact with the comptroller's office, and we will be using our state tax community for that. So please send us those comments. As always, our tax community, if you're not a part of our tax community, and you all can be a part of it, there's no extra sign up. You just go to our community page and go down to MACPA Connect and then open the tax community. This is where we post things first. So as soon as we get guidance or notification that there is guidance out there from the comptroller's office, we will be posting that here. And questions, this tax community is so valuable. So just really urge you to take part in that. Anything else you would say, Nick? I know you just did a great kind of recap about a potential for a fall session, a lot of those new revenue measures, what they have done. But anything else you'd say to the CPA community of what they can do or what they should know about engaging in Annapolis?
Well, I would say this on the data tax that they passed. No one really knows what it does. No one, the comptroller, when they passed the digital goods tax, I don't know if that's still cleared up. So there's going to be, I anticipate, many conversations past July 1st. There could even be, lawsuits that are filed. Look, the comptroller's our regulator, and she's a great person, and we have a great working relationship. But it's a tall task to come up with all this when they're not even sure exactly what it is. Basically, they got to the data tax by looking when they proposed the B2B and they did the fiscal note on it. Data was the largest generator of all those taxes. Fortunately, we were down, in the lower quadrant.
Yeah.
I mean, if their fiscal department thought that tax on CPA services could raise 400 million, you'd see us in there right now. So, as I said, your involvement, everyone's involvement, the CPAs have a great grassroots network. Every legislator, I would think, would have a CPA. So that personal relationship comes in very important. It's good to have advocacy. It's good to have people walking the halls. But at the end of the day, if they get a call from their personal CPA, that makes a huge difference. So the fight is not over. As I said, there is talk of a special session. It all depends on what happens with the economy. I don't anticipate it being, before the end of summer, if it's to happen. So I would think it'd be in the time frame of September to November, if there were to be one. But we'll stay in constant communication, and as soon as we know something, you'll know it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick, and Manus Canning, for your partnership. So very grateful. You are so respected in Annapolis, and so we appreciate your continued partnership. I did want to bring up this because I will tell you, Mary Beth, our Director of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs, started getting requests and fundraisers the day after session. They can't fundraise during session, but it started the day after. And so Nick mentioned the Key Persons program and how important that is. Please let us know if you have a personal relationship. That is key. We want to monitor that. You can do that by just emailing Mary Beth at macpa.org, but also PAC money. It's part of the process. And so please support us, help us support you in making and keeping these relationships strong. With that, I'm going to move to the next portion of our town hall. First, I want to shout out next Monday. So this coming Monday is our MACPA Converge. Super excited about this new event that brings together our business and industry conference, our government not-for-profit conference, and our government contractors conference. What we found is that we had a lot of similar requests for topics, and thought, how can we bring this group together to learn, to grow with one another? So really excited about this event. Hope that you're able to join us on Monday. And I say that because our presenters today, Byron and Twyla, are actually part of that conference as well. And then the next day, on April 29th. So if you just want to continue that learning, if you want to make next week your learning week, there is an event that we're going to be doing with them, AI Foundations live event. You might remember, gosh, last summer we started talking about piloting a new Gen AI program and helping it to be really hands-on and practical for our members. We've heard a lot of great presentations on AI, and sometimes I think they're more scare tactics or just cool, fun facts than actual practical things. And so, gosh, it's been a year and a half. Byron Patrick probably looks familiar to you all because he's our MACPA past chair. Yes, he's the one with the Maryland CPA tattoo. So that is his claim to fame. There it is. You'll see it. Actually, he can't see him right now, but he'll show you when I unmute. But so grateful for him and Twyla working with us over the summer to really co-create their knowledge, our community, to come up with something that gave practical knowledge. So real quick, Byron began his career in public accounting, merged that with his passion for technology. He's now the CEO of Verify IQ, helping firms automate quality control. And then he introduced us to the amazing Twyla Verhulst. She's a CPA entrepreneur and tech innovator focused on the future of accounting, and just wonderful to be with them today. So I'm going to stop sharing so you can see them and learn from them because I've learned a ton from them. And so, Twyla and Byron, I'll let you take over.
Thank you,
so
Becca.
much. Yeah, Byron, do you want to take your moment to, I do not have a Maryland CPA tattoo, although I feel like maybe
There you go.
I should be
For anybody.
getting adopted by Maryland at this point. So maybe
You
that's
are
coming.
welcome anytime, Twyla.
You just
Well,
gotta
I'm
get
gonna-
a tat. Just
Yeah,
need
that's
some
right.
ink. Let's go.
It's going to happen at the airport next week, perhaps, when I show up for Converge. So thank you for that lovely introduction. And that means that we can breeze through this particular slide. But I do want to just say, we are so excited to talk about AI in accounting today. And this is not meant to be a scare tactic. This is meant to really, embrace AI as it is in our accounting today and embrace it as another piece of technology that we're using. And so not meant to scare you, but rather to help you kind of get on that journey of how you're going to use AI practically. And we'll give you a sneak peek about what we're going to talk about next week at Converge with our live panel session. And then we'll chat a little bit more about that live AI Foundations Live that we're going to be doing on the Tuesday following Converge.
Yeah, that's great. Super excited for all of that, and can't wait to see everybody there.
Excellent.
So, our buddy Tom Hood, everybody knows and loves Tom Hood. He said it best. He's been doing a lot of stuff recently related to AI and finance, and mentioned that we are moving from contemplation to experimentation. That being said, the data is still showing that everybody's still pretty early in their AI journey.
Yeah, that's right. In addition to what Tom had to say, from a recent study done by AICPA and CIMA, they found that 62% of accountants or CPAs haven't even considered using Gen AI just yet. And so with this being this new wave of technology that is making its impact on our profession, noticing that only 62% or just 62% are still sitting at this, haven't yet used it. That's something for us to be aware of. Now, 30% have started to experiment with it personally, but only 6% have actually implemented it in their firms, meaning that 94% have yet to adopt it professionally. And, we have some hypotheses on why this is true. And we've actually researched some or looked at some other research that's been done, including things like concerns about data security. That tends to be one of the number one questions that Byron and I get asked about using AI. And then even this unsure kind of state of how to get started or how to really get the right training and get themselves equipped with what they need to know to embrace AI.
Yeah, and so we're definitely not late, and I think that's one of the messages that we want to reinforce is don't be overwhelmed by this, like, I've already missed the train. The train has not left the building. We are still at the starting line, and there's a lot of opportunity to, take that awareness and really put it into action.
Yeah, one of the things Byron and I like to say is that there really isn't any AI experts yet, that we're all learning together. And I feel like every day Byron and I are messaging back and forth saying, I just tried this, or have you seen that? And, we are all learning together. So even though, 62% of CPAs haven't yet considered using Gen AI, you're not behind, you're not late, and you're in the right place. So let's talk a little bit about what's actually happening. Like, what are accountants actually doing with AI?
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and these, as we've mentioned it, but I want to reinforce it. The stuff that we're talking about is not theory. There's a lot of science fiction out there of what could be possible, but the things that we're going to discuss are always going to be things that people are doing. Writing emails, that's almost table stakes. That's probably one of the first places where people have begun to dabble. But there's, creating standard operating procedures or process docs, which nobody loves to do. AI is really good at accelerating that. Meeting summaries, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the ways people are doing that. Researching tax issues, we're going to talk about a partnership that MACPA has that's enabling that type of stuff. Marketing content, a lot of ways to really create some cool marketing content. And I even noticed somebody mentioned in like the good news section, they're starting to use ChatGPT for some tax analysis, but also financial analysis. And if we have time today, which I think we will, I might even show a little bit of a demo of that. So, these are things that accountants are in fact doing. This is not, pie in the sky ideas or hopes and dreams. This is real stuff that is happening today.
Yeah, let's actually just talk about some of these examples because I think we've also got on there about the financial narrative and insights for clients. So let's go right into a couple of our examples here.
Yeah, and meeting summaries is, it's one of those things where there have been a lot of tools that have been coming around even before the generative AI storm really came in, of these assistants that would listen into meetings and take some notes, and it was okay. But today, the tools have really become exceptional. And the ability to extract the notes and the important action items and tasks from a meeting and have that summary after the meeting. So you can start your next meeting with basically your minutes already created for you and organized for you. And this is something where this is actually something you don't have to be an AI expert to do. There are products that you can go out and license very affordably to get uses of this. And it's a really good way to get some comfort and build some trust with the tools.
Yeah, it's such a great one. And one of the things as you're talking about, and I was thinking about recently, I had a series of meetings all about the same topic, and I put that into AI. And interestingly, somebody's viewpoint shifted throughout that meeting or that series of meetings, and it picked up on it.
Funny.
And so, yeah, it's really interesting what we can get from those meeting summaries. SOPs or standard operating procedures or onboarding docs. This is another use case that we're seeing with accountants that's really come to the surface, predominantly because this is something that a lot of accountants just don't have time to do or to maintain these sort of documents. And so, you can feed bullet points of workflows, anything that you have so far that you've created in your firm into ChatGPT and get it to come up with, a more polished step-by-step guide that you can use with new clients. You can also use with new team members. So whether that's going to be something that's in a client or onboarding doc and what you want them to do as you start to work with them, client offboarding docs, I've seen those come about too, when it's time to say goodbye to a client. And then of course the internal documentation that, we just have a hard time keeping up with it and really getting into a spot that it's really valuable and kind of at your fingertips and maintainable, because there's always the changes that we have later that they're challenging to keep up on versus, having that document, put that into ChatGPT, then saying, I need to swap out this particular policy, and it'll make that update for you.
And it's worth noting, just on the SOPs, Samantha Bowling, past chair of the MACPA, and everybody knows her as a major innovator in the profession. Her firm very successfully, implemented a huge initiative leveraging ChatGPT to build not only the SOPs, but then to build a chat bot to let their team, chat to discover all of those SOPs, because we all know nobody's sitting down reading them end to end. So that's a really practical example that we've seen live. So the next onto the financial narratives. And as I mentioned, I'm pretty sure we're going to have time to get into the demo today where I will show some examples of how you can leverage generative AI to not only put together a narrative, but help you even kind of brainstorm and find things that maybe you haven't picked up on, or just are super simple to bring to the forefront. Even from training team members, it can be really useful. That mention of somebody using it to do some tax analysis. I've seen examples of where firms are using it to put together that summary, because we know most clients get overwhelmed by looking at their tax return, but they would love to have that paragraph on top that kind of explains to them what is inside of that. So it is really good. And frankly, I think we're in the infancy of what we're going to see here, especially as we start to see some of the major developers such as Intuit and Xero begin to put generative AI into their tools to help us with some of this stuff.
Yeah, this is such a great one. I think one of the things that we as accountants tend to do is talk in a language that not necessarily everyone else can understand. And ChatGPT is very good at saying, bring this down to the business owner's level, or share this with the board and what matters to them. And they can really kind of come at it with that perspective. So really great use case that we see with many accountants. And then last example that we'll share today, of course, is around tax research and planning. Now, as Becca mentioned, we've just got through 415, and you might be thinking, gosh, I don't even want to be thinking about tax for a few moments. But, this is a great time to kind of take a look at what are the tools enabling with respect to tax research and planning, and how do you actually kind of leverage that for either yourself or some of those more junior team members who maybe don't have the knowledge that you have when it comes to citing guidance with respect to tax rules and what IRS is changing and putting out for publications. So using AI as a tool to help you with that research and with planning is a really great and powerful use case of AI. And as Byron mentioned, in January, MACPA announced their partnership with BlueJay, which, both Byron and I were super excited to see that, once again, Maryland leading the way with setting their members up for success and enabling you all with BlueJay, which BlueJay, if you're not familiar with it, it's a Gen AI tool that provides verifiable tax answers and drafts high quality client communications for you. So definitely worth checking that out.
Yeah, and it's such a great example of where generative AI is being leveraged in meaningful ways. I think, there's a lot of concern that organizations are just throwing, AI for the sake of AI into tools. But this is an example where it really does improve the experience and your capabilities. And another thing that I have heard from folks who are using tools such as BlueJay is, just licensing that tool and sitting down and beginning to use it doesn't necessarily create proficiency. Having some good understanding of generative AI and kind of your own proficiency before jumping into these tools can be extremely helpful to really leverage it to its maximum capabilities.
And then, as we talked about at Converge next week, Byron and I are hosting a panel with 3 CPAs from the AI pilot program. So we've got Rob, Carl, and Avanet joining us to talk about their experience with the pilot program and then what they've been up to since. And so super excited to see you all next week at Converge.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun conversation because we've kept up with them and with respect to their journey of AI and the things that they have done for themselves and within their organizations since going through the pilot program. And I can't even, there's not enough words to explain how rewarding it's been to see the ways that they've been able to implement it based on, gaining that initial foundational knowledge that they needed.
Great. And as we talked about the day after Converge, we're running AI Foundations Live. This is going to be an exclusive in-person half-day hands-on experience.
Yeah, and one of the things that we are going to touch on is that security and privacy concern. It is the number one thing. In fact, I'm sure through some of your minds when I show the demo, you're going to go, no, because of your concern around security and privacy. And there are ways to use this responsibly to make good decisions so that you are not limited in what you can do with it. And that is a core component of what we're going to discuss in Foundations.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make sure that you're understanding how to use it responsibly, and then, making sure that you're leaving with something really usable, some real practical prompts and use cases that you can put to work right away.
Yeah, and you can see Maxine Barbeau, just to mention, she talked about her own anxieties coming into the course and how it really was able to ease them. So if you're having those concerns, having some, folks to help you, get over that anxiety hump is a really great way to do it in a couple hours.
I just want
Yeah.
to real quick. Maxine is our vice chair, but the diversity in the group that went through the pilot program. I reached out to a group of CPAs from all different areas of our profession, and I said, "Can you help us create something?" And we had people that were kind of already real deep into AI, doing things. We had people that were scared or brand new, and we had every area: tax, audit, corporate.
Government,
Maxine is
nonprofit.
government. All those folks together learning. And so if you hear this and you think, oh, that's just for this type of people, or I'm a sole practitioner, or I'm a, this program was built with and for CPAs of all kinds. And so I just think that's the coolest part. That's why as associations we exist, is to help each other. So really, really proud of what we've been able to create.
Such a good point.
Yeah, and maybe even just to layer onto that, because I think that's so well said in terms of that diversity of that group, and the magic of that is that then we were able to take what we learned from that pilot group and now create some really compelling content that is designed for various types of practitioners, and ensuring that you've got something really tangible to walk away with that's really relevant to what you do day to day. And we've actually took the original curriculum and split it into two, because of the fact that there was just so much to learn, and it felt right to split it into what we call AI Foundations, and then the more advanced learning after AI Foundations is called AI Impact. So yeah, it was such a magical opportunity to work with MACPA, and then of course the folks who said, I'll put up my hand and be part of that group.
And no doubt. So we thought today we might share some prompting tips for any of you out there who are just getting started, or you've been looking for that excuse to log in and play. And one of the most important tips that we hope you leave here today with is the fact that prompting is about communication, and you hear a lot of people saying prompt engineering and all of these, like making it sound like it's a really, really complicated thing. And what we find a lot of times with people who have maybe like played with it and said, this doesn't really work, I don't get the results I want. Generally, it comes down to good communication. So there's some things we can do around just, practical good communication that will actually help you to be a better prompter of generative AI.
Yeah, and inside of the live program, we really start to get into the weeds around, what does that good prompt look like, and what does good communication look like? How do you get really clear on the intent of what is it you want AI to do, and what is it that it needs to know? Give it the context, often nothing more than what you need it to know, because it can start to get too overwhelmed with the information. But giving it exactly what it needs to know, what constraints, you can have AI give you certain tones back in response. It can be in your voice. It can create content in certain formats. You just need to guide it. So what constraints do you want to put, or guardrails do you want to put in place? And then, iterate. I mean, just this morning I was working on something while we were getting on just before the tech check, and even though I use ChatGPT many, many times a day, it's constantly this back and forth communication. So it's not a one and done communication. It's how do you have this ongoing conversation and really collaborate with AI in a way that then gives you a helpful and valuable output?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many things you can do in here that if you think about sitting down with an intern or an associate or somebody and giving them instructions, that you will find is very similar to giving ChatGPT instructions to make requests. So, following some of these, techniques related to clear communication can really benefit you.
So we've talked about this a little bit, but just to kind of put this onto one slide in terms of what's covered in AI Foundation. So we talk about what is AI. So you might even be thinking, I don't even understand exactly what it is. That's okay. You're still in the right place. What is AI and how does it work? And start to think about where it's going to fit into your workflows or your professional life, just based on a better understanding of what is it. And then how to use it safe and responsibly. Again, that's the number one question that Byron and I get asked is, how do I ensure that I'm not going to put somebody's data at risk or use it in a way that's going to have some sort of security breach? How to configure it so it's really set up in a way that's custom to you, because you can customize these tools so that they are most responsive to what it is that you need. Of course, prompting techniques, as we spoke about in the last slide, and then practical accounting use cases. This is really where we are trying to enrich this education with not just talking about it in theory, not just giving you this high level prompting around, maybe it's something like planning your garden. I was, looking at all the things that people were celebrating, planning your garden or celebrating your new God baby, or, like, what is it you want to do for event planning or planting your garden and timing? Like, you can use it for all those things, but we also want you to make sure that you know how to use it for your day to day and really have this effective way of putting it to work in accounting.
Yeah, I think that nailed it. I think we have time for some demos.
Yeah, let's
I'm
do
excited.
it. I'm gonna, well, if you start sharing, Byron, actually I'll stop sharing so that people don't get confused about flipping from the screen. Sometimes people
Yep.
miss that.
Share. Oh, is it not letting me share my sound? Doesn't look like it is, but that's okay. I can adjust my mic, because the first demo we're going to do is going to use some sound. Let me save. There we go. All right. So sharing our screen, what we are going to do here first is a quick voice demo. So I'm going to have ChatGPT join us on stage, and hopefully the audio will come through. Good morning. Good morning. I think Zoom might be hijacking. Oh, there, my audio. That's a bummer. All right, let me try it one more time. Good morning. I think it's here now. Good morning. This is my computer not working, because you can see the ChatGPT is actually hearing me, but the audio is not working. So that's on my end, but that is okay. We will get to another example of really some financial analysis, which I know is what the whole group of accountants want to see. So let's get into some financial analysis. So we're going to do two things. Today, I'm using one of the latest reasoning models from ChatGPT, which means it listens to us and really thinks carefully about what it is doing when we are making requests. And I'm going to say to it, I have a meeting today with the owners of a coffee shop, and I'm going to attach some financials. Attached are last year's financial statements. Please review them for notable trends I can share in the meeting. Highlight significant strengths or weaknesses that should be brought to their attention, compare their results to industry benchmarks in your analysis. This is a very important client and we need to show value in the meeting. So you can notice the communication style that I'm using, and I'm going to send that. Now, as I mentioned, this is a reasoning model. So it's probably actually going to sit here and think about this for a couple minutes, which would not make an exciting demo as we watch it think. So while it is thinking, I am going to pull up a second prompt. There we go. So you can see it's beginning to think through it. We're going to let that do some thinking. And we're going to go back to the general purpose prompt. And we're going to share those financials again here while that is thinking. And one of the things I want to do for the meeting is I'd like some graphs. I'd like to work on some graphs for the presentation. So I put in here, review the attached financial statements for a coffee shop and create a line graph showing gross revenue over time. One of the things that ChatGPT has really done well over the last probably year is it's gotten good with data analysis and creating some interactive graphs. As Twyla mentioned earlier, everything within generative AI is iterative. You don't have to give instructions once and just accept what it has produced for you. You make the request, and then you have the ability to refine that request over time. So this is analyzing probably in the next couple seconds. We should see, hopefully, gotta love a live demo, a graph that, there we go. That's pretty good. So it dropped in our months, our amounts, line graph. You can kind of see it's up and down a little bit. And I'm going to maximize this and we're going to have a conversation with it. So I like the start of it, but I feel like we could add some more to it. So we're going to ask it to add lines for each cost of goods sold and really try to make this chart a little bit more meaningful. And I was saying earlier, this is kind of part of that iteration, is we don't just have to accept the first response. We can continue to, make those requests, ask for edits, ask for revisions, and you can see really nice. Now we have our gross revenue up top. It's dropped in. It even put in a blue line here for total cost of goods sold, and then all the various different cost of goods sold items. So I want to make one more adjustment to this, and I'm going to just ask for it to add a dotted line to show net profit, because net profit seems to be missing from this chart to have a really meaningful conversation. So it's going to pull in, and I'm sure many of you are all Excel wizards, and you could probably jump into Excel and really make some simple charts. But what I find really useful with ChatGPT is you can even come in here and ask for it to recommend charts and ideas and suggestions that might be meaningful to show. And now you see we got a nice black dotted line that's showing net profit, which is going into the negatives. So you can download this chart, you can put it into a presentation, and do a number of things. Now let's go back here to our, there we go. So it looks like it took about 1 minute and 39 seconds to think about things. And here's what it came back with. It actually put together a really nice chart of some KPIs, our shop based on the finances with percentages. Now, you might have heard in the early days of ChatGPT, it's not good at math. Erase that from your brain. It is now very good at math, so you can trust these numbers. Here's the independent coffee shop benchmarks. You might be wondering where it got the benchmarks. It actually gives you the resources that it used. So that's another thing. Trust. We want to be able to trust that we can validate what it's giving us. And then it even gave us some great indicators of how we're doing in comparison to these benchmarks. So that alone, I think, is worth the price of admission. but let's see what else it does. So it has some bullets around what's working really well, some pain points that might be worth some discussion, some description, and even numbers around it. It came through here and included some bullets on some talking points and quick wins we could talk about, like maybe places they could really improve what they're doing. And then, we can continue this conversation. If we have more ideas or even wanted to ask it for more suggestions, we could continue this conversation. But you can see just in a single prompt, that is a lot of information that it is pulled together. And again, I'm not saying that any one of you could not have done the same thing, but I bet it would have taken you longer than 1 minute and 39 seconds to do. So some really fun stuff that you can do. Hopefully this gives you a little idea of what is possible in a real setting. And again, this data has been anonymized because I'm sharing it with all 250 of you on the town hall, but not because the system, the subscription, the way in which I'm using ChatGPT doesn't allow for me to share that information with it.
I love this example. And like you said, getting right into the things that accountants really care about. Although I will say, Barn, I'm a big fan of your how you use voice with ChatGPT. So maybe this is a plug, but at Foundations Live next week, I'm confident that you'll be able to do that voice demo and share it with
Yeah,
others.
no doubt. The Zoom factor won't be playing with my audio channels.
Yes, exactly. Well, I can flip to this last slide, but I think we've just got a couple of minutes left here for any questions that might have popped in, Becca.
Yeah. So one of the things that someone asked is does ChatGPT remember all the things I asked it over time when I ask it something new?
That's a great question because that just changed recently.
Ooh.
So there's kind of three ways that you can have ChatGPT remember things about you. One is in what we call memory settings. So it does actually capture things about you. But one important release that just came out is that it can remember from one chat to the other. So let's say in that chat that Byron just did, where he said, actually, I disagree. I think that the KPIs for a coffee shop, the top KPIs for a coffee shop should be this. Then if you had another coffee shop client that you put that in, it can remember that you told it last time that the KPIs that you believe are important for a coffee shop are these ones. It didn't used to be able to do that without you reminding it. So now it can go from chat to chat. So you can have your memory settings that it captures memories about you. You can have customizations that that you set up yourself, that you say, remember these things about me. And then now chat can remember from one chat to the next. In fact, it can remember very well. And so you can also use temporary chats if you think, I don't want it to remember this. And so you have a way of making sure that it doesn't remember. So that's a lot at once, but I suppose the short answer is yes, it can remember. But as with a lot of things that are going on with all AI right now, it's changing constantly. And that one about the memory and it remembering chat to chat is actually a new release.
And then the last question that I saw pop in was just give us something really cool that you've seen from AI in the past 1 to 2 weeks. They said image generation has definitely gotten a lot better. And they said, I'm blown away by deep research. So what's cool that you've seen?
I mean, I will echo deep research is really an incredible tool, and probably I would even say the name deep research doesn't do it justice for what it is capable of. It's really like deep analysis. So
Tell us what deep research is for those that
yeah, thank you. So deep research is basically a tool within, it's not just in ChatGPT. A lot of the generative AI tools have deep research. And what that does is basically it will think super hard about a problem for 10 to 20 minutes. It will search an unbelievable amount of places and things online, and it will rationalize through those things. So there's a really popular AI speaker I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Last name Mullock. And I just saw a LinkedIn post from him today where he said, if I am shopping for anything of like substantial consequence, like where I would want to do research at this point, I put it into deep research and it comes back and it gives me considerations, it gives me prices, it gives me so much stuff that I would have spent hours previously researching.
We don't have to
And
read consumer reports anymore.
that's it. Like get rid of that subscription
Yeah.
and put it into your ChatGPT subscription. So that would be one of my highlights for sure.
Yeah. How about you, Twyla? Anything different that you had mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie. We have a lot of fun with the image generation. That is gotten a lot better. And so that can be really fun. It's also getting a lot better with presentations, which, as you can imagine, we give a lot of presentations and do a lot of this type of thing, and it's getting significantly better with helping to. It's like so close to the spot of being able to take ChatGPT and then putting that right into something like Google Slides or Canva. Like it's not quite there. And then the tools themselves, like Canva or even Google Slides or PowerPoint, are also getting better independently in silo. So I think the stitching is going to come really, really soon, but it's getting so much more powerful, and you know, that's a use case of making lives easier in my role.
Yeah, Twyla, you mentioned Google Slides, and so this question that just popped up, I think, is really relevant too, because they're asking about Gemini. So if they use Gemini or another AI engine, is instruction in ChatGPT still helpful then?
Great question.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, the one of the reasons why we chose ChatGPT is the skills that we are teaching there are universal across Gemini, across Claude, Copilot, whatever the case may be. I've actually started using Gemini a lot more recently because at Verify IQ, we're a Google organization. So I'm like, hey, let's use it. And it actually just feels like home. There wasn't a lot of switching, like friction from going to ChatGPT to Gemini. So 100% very universal. And Google, frankly, is doing such an incredible job right now that if you have access to Gemini, I definitely encourage people to use it.
And that's
think
really
I'll-
important too, because it reinforces that communication. Prompting is communication. So like
Yep.
that's not going to change regardless of who you're talking to, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say,
Yeah.
is that prompting is a skill that you build that muscle and you really learn how to be an effective prompter, and then you apply it to whatever tool you're using, whether that's built inside of a platform that you've already embraced or it's a net new one that's specifically for your firm or for what you're using at home.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for joining. We went like 2 minutes over, but really important. Now I'm gonna cough. I did so well. Important tips, and I'm gonna drop in the chat now our landing page for our AI learning program. There you could learn more about the live program we're gonna have next week, but also stay tuned there because we have some exciting things coming out, some on demand, some more regular AI impact courses, and we're just so excited to be partnering with our friends at TB Academy to bring real practical hands-on solutions to our members. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope to see you next week at Converge or maybe at the AI program or something else soon. But I will definitely see you, Twyla and Byron, next week. Looking forward to meeting
Can't
you in
wait.
person, Twyla. We've never met.
Yeah,
So
I'm
awesome.
excited. Thank
Thanks
you.
so much. Have a wonderful rest of your
Bye.
day.
Thank y'all.